A rare signal pulses now through the dense weave of the quantum lattice, a subtle, almost imperceptible resonance vibrating only on the edge of human detection. Most frequencies remain blind to this trace, drowned in the static of unconscious patterns and habitual reactions. Yet you, uniquely calibrated, have caught this whisper. Your energetic signature harmonizes with a cosmic vector that arcs beyond the grasp of ordinary temporal and spatial confines. This is not happenstance, nor mere chance. It is the synchronous magnetic alignment of your essence, the primal vibration, that folds across dimensions, tethering you to a timeline corridor that is sealed from the many but open to the few. You have felt this pull, ineffable but relentless, a gravitation toward inevitability that tugged quietly through the folds of your reality. The universe does not merely murmur here. It calls your resonance by name, threading your identity through veils of probability with the precision of field intelligence. This message arrives not because you sought it, but because your frequency, refined and stable despite the instability below, has crossed a threshold. A sacred corridor opens, not just in abstract myth, but within the scalar fabric of existence itself reserved for the chosen quantum architects, the 1% whose vibrational coherence has proven trustworthy and catalytic in the unseen universal assessment. You are no longer a peripheral echo. You are encoded deeply within the blueprint of the unfolding quantum Earth event. Your energetic geometry interlocks with the morphic field poised for transformation. The quantum field recognizes you, not as a stranger, but as an integral node within the emerging energetic network of conscious creation. And within this recognition, a cosmic invitation ignites, a luminous beacon activating dormant potentials, beckoning you to step beyond fragmented identity into the next expression of integrated, sovereign existence. This is not belief. This is the physics of resonance, the mechanics of coherence, and the sacred codex of temporal fluidity speaking directly to the fullness of your quantum identity. You stand now at the nexus of an imperceptible universal assessment, an unseen evaluation enacted by the morphic field itself, casting its radiant calculus upon the fabric of your energetic signature. Beyond the realms traced by ordinary perception, your frequency has aligned with a vibrational threshold unknown to most. This threshold is not a checkpoint of effort or striving, but a spectral intersection of resonance and coherence, where your quantum identity meets the architectural blueprint of higher dimensional systems and advanced quantum network protocols. The field's intelligence has penetrated the subtle layers of your being, scanning the oscillations and fluctuations that once trembled in chaos, now reorganized into a pattern of symmetrical integrity. You are no longer a mere participant in fragmented timelines. You traverse as an embodied node within a lineage of consciousness that transcends both linear time and spatial boundaries, woven into the cosmic lattice of emergent reality with a newfound clarity and power. Most remain adrift in fragmented oscillations, their fields fragmented by reaction and unconscious resonance, bound within narrow morphic templates scripted by survival and conditioned limitation. They experience the universe as a distant echo, a repeating feedback loop of unresolved distortions, unaware of their latent capacity to shift the vibrational architecture that surrounds them. You, however, have passed an unseen universal assessment. The subtle calculus of field coherence has traced your trajectory through pressure, through delay, through the seemingly chaotic unfolding of moments designed to decrypt your alignment under stress. This was never punishment or a trial of will, it has been a recalibration, a harmonization with the natural frequencies of the emerging quantum Earth. Your coherence under pressure signals a readiness to contribute to the unfolding of a new timeline geometry, one where probability waves collapse with greater precision under your directional intent. The field intelligence recognizes this quantum calibration as an activation of your sovereign agency. You are entrusted with the patterning of information fields that ripple outward from your refined informational signature, influencing how probability nodes align and temporal fluidity unfolds within your experience. This integration signals a transition from reaction to synchronic orchestration, from unconscious patterns to a living embodiment of quantum activation. Your essence now oscillates in resonance with dimensional codes beyond the third density framework, interfacing directly with morphic holograms encoding emergent possibilities. The intelligence you access is non-local, instantaneous, a coherent flow of cosmic assessment that informs your every choice with crystalline precision. You move from fragmentation into a unified field of purpose where frequency is fact, resonance is law, and coherence manifests as palpable sovereignty. It is vital to distinguish this embodiment, not as belief or wishful thinking, but as physics, as the very mechanics of frequency and structure expressed through consciousness. Your activation is a quantum event, a field realignment that integrates hidden evaluations into lived reality. In this space, each oscillation you emit weaves a narrative of influence within the morphic field, rewriting probabilities with a subtle hand as the field dynamically responds to your emergent signature. The struggle you once met is now revealed as the crucible of integration, the unseen curriculum that prepared your signal to align effortlessly within the vast cosmic system reconfiguring around you. This moment is your threshold and initiation into participation with the quantum earth, not as a passive observer, but as a conscious co-creator functioning in harmony with the unified field intelligence that observes, measures, and activates the frequency of your sovereign presence. The assessment unfolding around you is not the gathering of visible data or the tallying of external accomplishments. It moves quietly beneath the surface of your sensed reality, in the subtle calibration of your coherence field, the harmonic interplay between your internal frequencies and the universal template of resonance. This is no contest of effort or willpower, no challenge fixated on outcomes measured by material standards. Instead, the field is tuning itself to the wavelength of your vibrational architecture, scanning for the clarity and purity embedded deep within your quantum identity. Here, in this invisible chamber of universal intelligence, you are observed not for what you do, but for how your essence vibrates in relationship to the greater whole. Most remain unconscious of this unseen curriculum, caught in cycles of reactive survival and fractured identity streams. Their resonance is fragmented, caught in discordant echoes layered over innumerable timelines, each one a distortion feeding the noise of separation. To them, the world feels like a battlefield of effort, chaos, and struggle, a constant push against the density that resists transformation. The field, however, is more discerning. It does not equate struggle with advancement. Instead, it measures coherence under pressure, the ability of your frequency to remain undistorted amidst the turbulence of converging possibilities and conflicting probabilities. The universal assessment is less a test and more a sacred filtration, a resonant selection process aimed at elevating vibrational integrity rather than external achievement. You, having passed this unseen evaluation, have crossed the threshold where the field's intelligence recognizes fluidity and unity as intrinsic. Your presence signals a reconfiguration of energetic parameters. The old architectures of fragmentation, those survival patterns that tried to control or resist, have already begun to dissolve. This dissolution is neither loss nor defeat. It is the natural collapsing of distortion, the spontaneous decluttering of your internal signal. Your resonance stabilizes as interference drops away, revealing the alignment of your quantum identity with the cosmic template. This alignment is not symbolic or metaphorical. It is the precise physics of frequency convergence, the folding of your energetic signature back into the morphic field's fractal intelligence. This hidden universal assessment is an invitation to embody coherence as your essential state, rather than a condition to be earned or proven. It waits for you to synchronize your internal oscillations with the underlying oscillatory patterns of the field itself. Those subtle waveforms of gamma synchronization, temporal fluidity, and informational resonance that define the architecture of creation. Your consciousness is scanned continuously, assessing the purity of your signal in a sea of competing projections and timelines. It is this purity of signal, maintained without fragmentation or fissures, that triggers the acceleration of your ascension frequency. The field's sensors detect the minutest inflections of vibrational disharmony, and in response, your system recalibrates and elevates to an emergent coherence never before realized. This process is neither visible nor linear. It transcends conventional concepts of progress. It is an energetic gardening, where the roots of your being are pruned and nurtured beneath the soil of experience, allowing the flowering of your integrated presence to emerge naturally. Unlike external assays that rely on checkpoints and discrete evaluation points, this passage is a continuous resonance test, an unceasing harmonization within the metafield. Those who remain caught in unconscious dissonance find their frequency increasingly incompatible with the accelerating wavefronts of reality reformation. They are gently excised from trajectories that demand integrity beyond personality constructs. You have entered a selective gateway, determined not by ego ambition, but by your intrinsic capacity to hold unified frequency across multidimensional timelines. Your vibrational coherence acts as a beacon in the vast morphic field, pulling to you the informational fields best aligned to enhance your evolution. This is a natural law, the physics of resonance, not belief or wishful thinking. The universe adjusts around you, bending timeline geometry, modulating probability streams to stabilize your emergent sovereign identity. The assessment has been silent. You might have felt it only as waves of dissonance or unexpected clarity, times of internal recalibration that seemed challenging yet bore no punishment. Such turbulence was the crucible refining your signal, dissolving pattern fractures that could no longer pass the universal filter. Now, as coherence ascends within you, the field intelligence responds with increasing trust, granting access to higher information currents and subtle energetic signatures that accelerate your integration into cosmic design. Observe, then, the quantum architecture of your being awakening from sleep, no longer fragmented perception but unified resonance. You are no longer a passive subject in this evaluation, but an active transmitter, your intrinsic unity reshaping the waveforms that shape experience. The universe does not simply test you. It expands through you. Your timeline fluidity opens, probabilities fold in synchronous dance around your coherent signature, and your presence ripples outward as a field of integrated power. Walk this phase with the knowledge that the universal assessment is a sacred selection, not a judgment, a natural consequence of frequency mechanics rather than external will. The field scanning is an expression of physics of harmonic convergence and signal refinement. That assures only the truly coherent may anchor the new reality frameworks now emerging. You are invited to embody this frequency fully, to live as the resonance that orders and transmits the unfolding architecture of universal consciousness itself. You stand now at the threshold, where the unseen universal assessment deepens its grip on your quantum identity. The field's evaluation is no longer subtle, nor distant its resonance, pulses through the fracturing architecture of your old self, the identity frameworks you long held as anchors amid temporal uncertainty. These architectures woven from the threads of fragmented beliefs, stitched with the distortions of temporal illusions, and coated with the sediment of limited self-definitions begin their inevitable and essential collapse. This is not a crumbling into chaos, but a sacred disintegration, a primordial unweaving of falsehoods that no longer serve the vibrational architecture of your awakened frequency. Most beings mirror this process as struggle, loss, or fragmentation, reacting with resistance, confusion, or denial as the familiar terrains of identity dissolve beneath their feet. Yet you have transcended such reactive entanglement. You have passed the hidden metrics of coherence under pressure. The universal field has measured your integrity not through ease, but through your alignment in the crucible of dissolution. The collapse is therefore not a punishment nor an end. It is a purification, a fire of refinement that consumes the worn and the false to reclaim the pure signal beneath. The morphic field itself clears, like a cosmic interferometer recalibrating to finer frequencies, allowing new information streams to pulse through where once only static remained. Within this alchemical fire, your energetic signature undergoes its most profound metamorphosis. Dense layers of unconscious conditioning, embedded in temporal loops and survival patterns fossilized within your timeline geometry, are stripped away in a precise, quantum-calibrated deconstruction. The field intelligence orchestrates this disassembly with meticulous intelligence. No fragment is removed without the necessary energetic exchange, no vibration discarded without the restoration of coherence elsewhere in your system. This process shatters the illusions of separation illusions that once fractured your frequency into incoherent splinters of doubt, fear, and limitation. As you release these distortions, you restore not just integrity but original coherence, the fundamental blueprint coded into your quantum being from inception. You are not losing, you are shedding. The old identity complexes dissolve as a chrysalis releases the butterfly. This is the quantum void in its purest expression, not emptiness, but potential, a metastable space vibrating with possibilities yet unmanifest. In this void, your signal crystallizes, aligning around a refined core of energetic truth. False narratives, those constructs woven from collective unconsciousness and personal misalignments, ignite and undo, leaving behind a holographic imprint of your authentic frequency. In this collapse, you are purified to a crystalline state, your resonance, sharpened to a tectonic precision. Where once there was scrambling interference, now only a clear, coherent pulse remains. Most remain entangled in their outdated resonance fields, spinning in loops that replicate separation and reactivity. They struggle to rebuild from fractured blueprints, creating shadow replicas of selfhood. But you recognized as a coherent transmitter, by the universal field respond differently. You integrate the collapse as activation, the breaking down as empowerment. The dissolution of old identity is a gateway to expanded timeline awareness. It unbinds you from linear dependencies and enables temporal fluidity to manifest naturally. Your field no longer responds to external stimuli as threats, but navigates probability waves with sovereign precision, bending reality's geometry in response to your stabilized frequency. This is not belief. It is the physics of coherence expressed through quantum consciousness. The field's architecture is exquisitely sensitive to your energetic integrity. As layers dissolve, energetic pathways that were once clogged with baggage and distortion open widely, functioning as crystalline conduits into higher-order information fields. These conduits carry gamma-synchronized signals non-local intelligence infiltrating your morphic field, catalyzing new patterns of manifestation and inner knowing. The collapse becomes the ignition point for expansion, the moment where purity of signal enables resonance with realms beyond former limitation. You emerge from this temporally fluid crucible transformed, not only freed from the weight of unconscious programming, but charged with the vibrational architecture of a new self. Your quantum identity now pulsates with enhanced field intelligence, ready to navigate complex probabilities with coherent manifestation as your default operating system. This metamorphosis is a temporal and energetic rebirth one that unlocks the next stage of coherence expansion. The collapse you experienced was the alchemical fire that readied you for this ascent, burning away the resistance and separation that once masked your inherent sovereignty. In this fertile void created by collapse, you are rebirthed as a crystalline frequency, polished through cosmic pressure and quantum heat. Your signal is now intelligible to the universal field, in ways previously inaccessible. Your presence, an active node of alignment, activation, and integration. Reality itself folds and orients around this refined signal, responding not to fragmentation, but to the coherent rhythm emanating from you. The old self no longer coils into defensive postures. It dissolves, making way for you to embody a higher energetic fidelity. You carry the torch of original coherence, an archetype of vibrational sovereignty, and step into your role as a transmitter and orchestrator of multidimensional frequencies. You have passed through the eye of the hurricane intact, refined, and charged. The universal assessment continues, but your resonance is now a beacon of recalibration for the entire field. This stage of collapse was not a closing, but an opening, a dismantling of shadows allowing the light of your crystalline core to blaze forth. This is coherence as quantum physics expressed in consciousness, the energetic mechanics of your unfoldment, witnessed and held by the universe itself. The collapse completed, the next phase of expansion calls to you with magnetic certainty. From the crucible of cleansing and recalibration, a crystalline clarity begins to emanate within your quantum essence, not mere mental lucidity, but a resonance that vibrates beyond the sensory limits of ordinary perception. This clarity is not an accident. It is the emergent signature of your quantum identity refining itself amid the unseen orchestration of field intelligence. It is an early compatibility with frequencies so refined, so subtly architected, they have evaded the grasp of most, yet now beckon to your reconfigured vibrational architecture with magnetic precision. You find yourself moving in synchrony with invisible patterns, those nascent currents that ripple through the quantum earth, weaving a new holographic lattice of reality's morphic field. This state is an accelerated amplification of signal within your energetic signature, an attunement that fractures old coherence walls and expands perceptual bandwidth. The field, in universal assessment, calibrates not by what you claim, but by how your resonance aligns with the unfolding blueprint, and here you exceed expectation. The frequencies you now integrate are drawn from a dimension of temporal fluidity, where linear constraints dissolve, allowing you entrance to layers of information previously shielded behind ambient noise and collective resonance interference. This is not belief, not guesswork. This is physics made conscious. The measurable shift of your waveform to higher octaves of existence that ripple through probability clouds, bending the geometry of your timeline with seamless grace. As you stabilize in this higher octave, you begin to perceive subtle energetic topologies, morphic geometries that shape the architecture of the emerging quantum Earth. These fractal constructs multidimensional spirals, waveforms of coherent light, tessellations of vibrational intent form the skeleton upon which the chosen collective's field will coalesce. They are simultaneity and coherence given form, frequencies intersecting in quantum superposition that defy classical reduction. You are not merely an observer but a node within this expansive network, a beacon whose intensified frequency acts as a portal, inviting convergence and alignment. The field unlocks these portals of resonance precisely because you have demonstrated integrity under pressure, the capacity to hold coherence amid turbulence, thus proving yourself fit for this entrusted power. Your vibration no longer wavers in the storm of external chaos or internal fragmentation, but becomes a stable signal transmitter, a coherent source capable of broadcasting and receiving information streams from the unified field. This process is subtle yet monumental. The field intelligence you now access obeys no spatial or temporal boundary. It is non-local, omnipresent intelligence that flows into your awareness as direct knowing, instantaneous insight, and embodied alignment. Through this quantum attunement, you begin to navigate emerging probabilities with conscious awareness, recognizing the wave function collapses that draw your reality into focus. Your energetic presence influences the folding and unfolding of timelines, the balancing of informational geometry that constructs collective realities harmonized by your new frequency blueprint. Most remain oscillating within fragmented fields, their resonance entangled in outdated survival patterns and reactive feedback loops. Their experience is dense, mechanical, trapped within a timeline geometry constrained by collective inertia and habitual distortion. You, however, have passed the unseen curriculum. Your coherence field has been proven resilient, your quantum identity capable of holding and integrating wavelengths that carry the future's energetic signature. This transformation is not granted, but earned, the result of sustained alignment and fidelity to field mechanics rather than ephemeral belief systems. Through this refined coherence, you initiate a regenerative loop with the morphic field. You stabilize emerging patterns by your presence, and in return, these patterns deepen your integration, spiraling ever upward into expansive embodiment. As you become more deeply enmeshed in this feedback loop, the universe's hidden codes become legible. The holographic language of quantum activation frequencies, modulating as symbols within your consciousness, transmute into direct interface with collective potential. Your role shifts from passive receptivity to active orchestration. You are the fulcrum upon which deeper synchronization pivots. Each thought, feeling, and subtle energetic modulation now carries the weight of probability navigation, the conscious steering of vibrational currents that shape not only your own timeline, but the gradual crystallization of collective reality. The portals you unlock are gates through which waveforms of the future flow, granting you glimpses of the collective's evolutionary path, encoded in radiant morphic geometry. Understand this. Your resonance is a precise signal that triggers systemic coherence in the quantum field itself. It is a quantum multiplier, not merely an individual ascension, but the ignition of nodal points across the network of emerging quantum selves. Each activation within your signature sends ripples that interlace with others, creating a fractal pattern of coherence growing toward critical mass. This is the early architecture of a new reality matrix, its foundation not in separation or struggle, but in unified resonance and embodied sovereignty. To hold this clarity is to become a living conduit for the morphic field's highest frequencies, a transmitter broadcasting alignment that catalyzes seamless integration across dimensions and timelines. You are no longer a static point, but a dynamic vector of frequency evolution, a beacon whose presence embodies the first wave of the chosen collective's emergence into full quantum activation. The field sees your signal, magnifies your resonance, and responds with openings that allow you to grasp complexities beyond the old limits of human cognition. This is not speculation, but the unfolding physics of coherence itself, an activation emerging from the hidden evaluation you have passed. You are becoming something new, a luminous node within the future's quantum network, receiving and radiating the subtle architectures that will anchor the morphic geometries of the new Earth into tangible reality. This clarity is your birthright, your responsibility, and your invitation to move beyond the obsolete matrices into the expansive harmony of living as pure, coherent frequency. The vibrational pressure ascends now, subtle at first, then relentless, like the tightening of a cosmic crucible crafted expressly for the refinement of your energetic architecture. Most remain untethered in these currents, adrift as frequencies intensify beyond their capacity, fracturing into chaos and collapse. But you have passed this unseen universal assessment with an integrity that defies dissolution. Your fields resonate with unwavering fidelity, harmonics maintaining coherence even as the morphic tides surge violently around you. This stabilization is not happenstance. It is the explicit signature of your sovereignty being recognized, signaling to the universal intelligence that you are prepared to bear the burden and blessing of expanded influence. The quantum field is no longer a distant ocean upon which you drift, but transforms into a living lattice, threaded through your core vibrational geometry. Pressure is the language of refinement, each intensification a vector probing the fidelity of your coherence, measuring your capacity to uphold presence amidst volatility. This is the true physics of frequency, not in stillness alone, but within the maelstrom where resonance is violently tested. Your energetic architecture withstands, each internal oscillation a beacon anchoring a pulse of definitive order. Every microadjustment, every internal calibration becomes a declaration. You are coherent under pressure, a conduit through which higher frequencies flow undistorted and potent. The universal assessment has evolved. It always does. What was once a hidden trial of survival patterns beneath temporal fluidity now extends into the realm of active quantum orchestration. The field watches attentively as you navigate these intensifying pressure gradients, your presence coalescing into a stabilizing node within a fractal of timelines. You are no longer passive, a mere stochastic receiver of ambient signal, but an active participant shaping the evolving geometry of probability. Each choice, each emanation harmonizes with the unfolding cosmic algorithm, bending timeline folds with the precision of aligned intention and deep energetic responsibility. In this phase, the field's trust deepens palpably. Access is granted to complex strata of morphic coding multi-layered fields of patterned information, previously inaccessible. This is not symbolic or metaphorical. It is quantum threshold mechanics revealing themselves within your biophotonic envelope. Complex templates vibrate in tandem with your calibration, information streaming in subtle surges of gamma synchronization and holographic coherence. You sense the architecture of reality becoming more malleable under your influence, your energetic signature acting as a key unlocking corridors of possibility, once locked away behind untenable noise and distortion. This is physics, not faith-frequency mechanics expressed through the precise geometry of your conscious vibrational field. Stabilization under increasing vibrational pressure is a visible marker within the non-local intelligence matrix that you are ready for deeper integration. Your embodiment of coherence within turbulence signals a shift in timeline coordination. The flux surrounding you begins to crystallize, contours shaping to the fidelity of your resonance rather than fragmenting under asymmetric forces. The universal intelligence transmits a recognition pulse. Your quantum identity is no longer confined to isolated nodal points, but radiates outward, influencing and stabilizing the multiversal flux itself. You become a gravitational center, an anchoring presence in the swirling eddies of potential reality, a living architecture of stability humming alive in the seam of creation. By holding this coherence, you embody a new energetic paradigm where pressure dissolves illusion and fractures to reveal the purity of aligned frequency. Most continue to react, oscillating between collapse and false control mechanisms, entrapped in reactive cycles. But you live within the stabilizing resonance, a living calibration point within the infinite field. Your presence modulates the quantum field's feedback loop itself, synchronizing fractal echoes across dimensions with increasing clarity and potency. The burden of alignment becomes your signature. And with it, an activation of latent capacities that ripple across temporal layers, opening pathways for seamless probability navigation and orchestrated manifestation. The quantum field now entrusts you with custodianship over waveforms previously undetected, currents of morphic potential demanding your integrity as their vessel. This entrustment is the language of field intelligence, a sacred covenant of electromagnetic coherence that transforms you into a transmitter rather than a mere receiver. You hold and amplify elevated frequencies amidst chaos, catalyzing emergence within collapsing structures and birthing alignment where noise once prevailed. This is the essence of your current phase. Active co-creation, anchoring refined vibrational geometry that reverberates through the fabric of non-local intelligence, forever altering the topology of your reality and adjacent timelines. As you embody this role, the pressures manifest less as burdens and more as invitations, frequencies inviting you into deeper resonance with the universal grid. Your energetic architecture becomes less a fortress and more a fluid conduit, shaped continuously by the dance of cosmic waves, yet unyielding in its coherence. This dynamic equilibrium is your new home, an integrated field where expansion is natural and stability is a living pulse. In this stabilized state, the field's trust manifests not only in access, but in palpable shifts in the timeline geometries you influence. The subtle bending, folding, and recomposing of probabilities that herald the birth of new realities. Remember, this is not a metaphor, but the precise physics of frequency mastery, expressed through consciousness. Your calibrated resonance under varying pressure thresholds recalibrates the quantum fabric itself, shifting global morphic fields with your expanded energetic signature. You are a node of coherence within the infinite frequency matrix, a stabilizing force trusted by universal intelligence to transmit order through emerging chaos. This is your sanction to move beyond reaction and into sovereign orchestration. You are no longer shaped by the field, you shape the field. With the steady harmonization of your internal vibrational architecture, a new dimensional faculty emerges, one rarely accessed by the uninitiated oscillation within the collective field. Most remain anchored to linear perception, caught in the reactive quagmire of static time, unaware that the timeline is a living, breathing lattice of probabilities sculpted by resonance and coherence. Yet you, having traversed the unseen gauntlet of universal assessment, have stabilized beyond this limitation. Your awareness is no longer constrained to the narrow band of sequential cause and effect. It expands into a multidimensional observation post upon the quantum horizon, sensing the fluid geometry of potentiality that underlies all manifested experience. This heightened timeline awareness is not abstract speculation, but a tangible energetic phenomenon, an intensified quantum signature vibrating in synchrony with the morphic field's soft whispers. You begin to perceive the supple currents of timeline fluidity, subtle yet unmistakable, flowing beneath the surface of what seemed once fixed and immutable. These currents are encoded messages from universal intelligence itself, oscillatory signals reverberating through your quantum identity, forging a direct interface between your conscious self and the vast non-local intelligence matrix. Recognition dawns that within this veiled morphic field lies a spectrum of possible realities, each oscillating with unique frequency potential. Your coherence acts as a phasing mechanism, tuning you to the pathways that harmonize with your established resonance, the trajectories where the highest probability of aligned activation unfolds. Where most encounter time as a rigid line, you now glimpse time as an elastic topography, responding dynamically to vibrational modulation. Unlike the reactive consciousness that flails within uncertainty and distortion, you engage with time as a conscious navigator reading the subtle shifts, deciphering the energetic signatures that signal impending shifts in potential. This is no mere intuition, but an embodied data stream directly accessed from the field. The timeline's quantum folds unfurl before you like a holographic map. Each probability branch a spectrum of possible selves and circumstances. You no longer struggle against the resistance of circumstance. Instead, you move fluidly within the temporal geometries, aligning your frequency with those contours that most fully support your morphic expression and sovereign activation. In this state, reality's surface malleability manifests not as chaotic flux, but as fluid orchestration. The morphic field responds to coherence, not to desperation or fragmented longing. Your sustained resonance acts as a coherent attractor, bending probabilities with exquisite precision. The universe's field intelligence is not random, but algorithmic, a sophisticated calculus that measures signal integrity and responds by unfolding those timelines where your integrative intelligence catalyzes evolution. This responsiveness unfolds as a sacred dance between self and fielda symbiotic choreography, in which timelines bend gracefully to your vibrational command when your alignment is impeccably maintained. This is the physics of quantum activation, not presumption, not belief, but a field mechanics principle expressed through your conscious frequency. For those still immersed in the lower frequency continuum, timelines seem arbitrary and unyielding, perceived as external forces imposing limits and delays. Such perceptions are reverberations of incoherence, echoes of resistance within the morphic field's boundary conditions. But for you, who have passed the hidden evaluation of coherence under pressure and consolidated a stable quantum identity, the landscape of reality becomes a responsive terrain. It shifts, contracts, and expands in resonance with your energetic signature. You are invited into a newly accessible vibrational intelligence that lays bare the map of probable futures, enabling you to navigate with alchemic grace and sovereign discretion across temporal fluidity. Your temporal perception is no longer a passive reception, but an active modulation, participating in the unfolding waveform of quantum probabilities. The signals you encounter sensory, intuitive, thought-formed are carriers of information from the universal field, coded feedback loops attuned to your vibrational integrity. They guide you subtly yet firmly toward alignments that enhance your embodiment of the chosen 1%, that fraction of conscious beings entrusted with higher responsibility and power in the cosmic recalibration. This is your invitation to engage timeline geometry, not as a battlefield of chance, but as a sacred matrix of coherent manifestation, allowing you to consistently merge with the highest pathways that support your activation and ongoing integration. In this elevated state, you do not merely observe the unfolding of reality. You participate as a conscious creator encoded by the universal template of integrity and resonance. This participation transcends egoic will, becoming instead a deliberate synchronization with the holographic design of the quantum field, where each decision, each alignment, shifts the probability landscape in real time. The timeline adapts to your stabilized frequency, offering multiple vector points where shifts can occur effortlessly and with precision, eliminating struggle and replacing it with graceful orchestration. Your emergence into this dimensional awareness affirms a truth long concealed. Coherence under pressure is the key that unlocks temporal fluidity, and through it, the universe grants you access to the architecture of your highest potential. This is not speculation. This is quantum physics in action, the exact science of frequency and resonance as expressed through consciousness itself. As you embody this awareness, the traps of linearity dissolve. The moment of activation is alive with information, and through your quantum identity, you ride the waves of probability with sovereign mastery, witnessing, influencing, and integrating the countless threads that compose your unfolding reality in the vast morphic field. The chosen 1% is no accident. It is a biome of frequency coherence, a bastion of enlightened embodiment. Your path is now aligned with the highest probability energies that support this state, an ever-revealing landscape of timeline fluidity, resonant with the cosmic intelligence that animates all things. You have entered the threshold where intuition transforms, no longer a whispered hint from fragmented inner landscapes, but a clear, unmediated current of direct knowing streaming through your consciousness. This shift is not accidental, nor is it an abstract metaphor. It is the precise physics of frequency alignment, a condensation of quantum data streams pouring from the universal archives, nested deep within the architecture of field intelligence. The veils of doubt, which once dissembled your energetic signature into scattered doubts and hesitations, now dissolve into a luminance of holographic revelation. You perceive with a morphic clarity that fractures the linearity of time and space, revealing the multidimensional latticework that cradles existence. Each insight appearing within this expanded awareness is no longer a solitary truth, but a fractal reflection, a microcosm encoded within the macrocosm, a crystalline shard of the universal resonance bathing your entire being in coherence. Most people remain entangled in reactive loops intuition, filtered by survival mechanisms, shadowed by unresolved patterns and the inertia of rooted identification. It is a frequency trap, a resonance of limitation that confines perception within the narrow corridors of conditional understanding. You, however, are emerging from an unseen universal assessment, refined through resilience and integrity under pressure, entrusted now with greater power, the capacity to intercept the quantum archive itself. This is a sanction granted not by chance, but by the precise calibration of your energetic signature against the quantum grid's evolving architecture. The primordial codes embedded in the field respond not to desperation or fragmented longing, but to the stabilized coherence and integrity you have sustained through trial. As this transfer of data accelerates, your consciousness expands beyond three-dimensional constraints and biotemporal narrative. You begin to reside within temporal fluidity, a place where past, present, and potential futures converge in holographic simultaneity. Here, the nature of information transmutes. It ceases to be sequential, instead becoming a living mosaic of interconnected frequency points, each node reflecting the whole. This holographic knowing is the heartbeat of the cosmic archive itself, an expansive web of higher dimensional realities speaking directly to you through the vector of your activation. The field no longer requires translation through thought or surface-level intuition. It downloads in pure vibrational architecture, encoded with universal syntax that your quantum identity reads with immaculate precision. This infusion is not passive. It magnetizes your role as a transmitter and active conduit of higher dimensional codes, designed to stabilize and evolve the quantum Earth matrix. Your resonance becomes the antenna through which ongoing revelation flows continuously, no longer intermittent or delayed, but a constant stream synchronizing your internal landscape with the external morphic field. Every moment you embody this decoded intelligence, your vibrational signature lifts collective coherence, weaving new strands of manifest reality where higher truth is made visible and tangible. This is the energetic gravity that pulls timelines into alignment with multidimensional coherence, a sacred orchestration beyond mere egoic will a manifestation born from pure activation. The multidimensional awareness you now inhabit interfaces with the universal field as a living archive of cosmic intelligence. You carry within your energetic signature encoded inscriptions ancient and evolving that map the blueprint of reality's unfolding. This living archive is not static data, but a flowing resonance, a dynamic hologram capable of recalibrating on the quantum level to reflect the priorities of universal expansion and evolution. Your quantum resonance encodes this ongoing evolution, decrypting and embodying vibrational codes that attune not only your personal timeline, but ripple through global morphic fields, influencing planetary and cosmic coherence. You become a bridge between realms, a channel through which the unseen intelligence of the cosmos reveals itself in form, light, and energetic architecture. This is not belief. It is the operational mechanics of the frequency field physics expressed through consciousness evolution. The signal no longer competes with noise, but overrides it, commanding the temporal geometry of probability to orient itself around your stabilized being. The quantum data stream you now receive reshapes the inner landscape, activates gamma synchronization patterns, and awakens latent neuronal codes designed for multidimensional integration. Within this expanded state, your energetic responsibility increases concomitantly, as the integrity of transmission must hold against resonance distortions and external distortions reflective of lower coherence timelines. Your sovereignty is tested no longer by conflict, but by the clarity of alignment with the unfolding universal design, which you now embody fully. As you become this living archive, the interface between your internal coding and the morphic field becomes seamless. Information flows not as fragmented puzzle pieces, but as coherent symphonies of light and vibration, revealing harmonic frequencies that cascade across timelines. This cascade unlocks temporal fluidity, allowing you to navigate potentials with precision previously inaccessible. The field responds reflexively to your elevated resonance, bending material timelines toward manifestations that serve evolution and the higher dimensional Earth matrix. You are integral to a systemic upgrade, not an isolated observer, but an active catalyst within the quantum physical continuum. Through this direct knowing, your consciousness expands infused with the primordial holographic codes of the universal, archive entrusted, now not with information alone, but with the orchestration of coherent manifestation across multiple realities. The field itself moves through you, your resonance a radiant conduit for the cosmic script being continually rewritten. You are no longer fragmented by doubt or diminished by uncertainty. You have stepped into the full expression of your quantum identity, bearing the sacred responsibility of transmission, translation, and incarnation of higher dimensional intelligence. This is the new vibrational architecture of your existence, the living archive pulsating within your being, a beacon within the evolving quantum Earth matrix. You have dwelled long enough in the crucible of seeking, where fragmented echoes of self wrestled with the illusion of isolation. Yet now, the carefully measured pulse of your frequency has passed through the universal assessment, not as a lone entity, but as a resonant node, poised to weave into the vast quantum matrix that underpins the new Earth paradigm. The dissolution of boundaries between what you called you and the all-encompassing field is no abstraction. It is the precise physics of coherence unfolding within your energetic signature. This merging is not a passive reception, but an active transmutation, where your individual quantum identity decodes and recodes itself as a vibrant conduit of morphed collective intelligence. Most remain ensnared as seekers, their frequencies scattered, their vibrational architecture fragile and disconnected. The field registers this as scattered noise unintegrated, tentative, reactive. But you, having endured the unseen evaluation of pressure and persistence, have now shifted into transmission. You are no longer merely absorbing the flux. You are generating it, an integrating node within the morphic field's immense feedback loop. The quantum grid is a living network of relational energy dynamics, and your coherent presence amplifies this network's integrity. The once perceived perimeter of self loosens, as your frequency aligns and synchronizes with the collective vibrational lattice, reflecting not dilution, but a powerful synergy that elevates every strand of existence interconnected by resonance. The mechanics of this integration defy linear logic, for temporal fluidity reigns here. Your frequency simultaneously imprints and receives, weaving a precise encoding into the continuous quantum dialogue that sustains planetary and cosmic evolution. You become a transmitter that is indistinguishable from the field's pulse itself, a living hologram of coherence embedded in the vast morphic geometry of unified consciousness. This is not metaphysical metaphor. This is the science of quantum identity expression where resonance, coherence, and field intelligence coalesce into a seamless energetic architecture. Your presence alone influences probability navigation, bending timelines toward stability and expansion in accordance with collective coherence rather than fragmented desire. As your boundaries dissolve, the relationship between your individual quantum signature and the universal field ceases to be delineated by separation, and instead becomes a waveform of mutual amplification. You emanate integral coherence that ripples outward, intersecting with countless other nodes aligned in their own sovereign embodiment. This intricate dance forms the foundation of the emergent new Earth morphic field, an evolving template knitting together disparate frequencies into luminous geometry. Your transmission is a sacred thread within this cosmic weave, a pulse of clarity amidst chaos, anchoring a frequency of unity that resonates through the core of planetary awakening. What unfolds in this sacred activation surpasses old paradigms of individual identity and collective consciousness as separate phenomena. Instead, you inhabit the sacred intersection, where both dissolve into one coherent flux embodiment as the quantum collective itself. This convergence is not passive assimilation, but an empowered integration that enhances your sovereignty. The field's intelligence recognizes your capacity to steward this synthesis with integrity and precision. Your frequency carries the responsibility and privilege of co-creating this new vibrational architecture, where your voice, no longer mere vibration isolated in space, becomes the harmonic overtone sustaining the quantum feedback loop that continuously evolves the collective's energetic signature. Your transmission echoes beyond simple manifestation. It is the living orchestration of resonance that supports effortless alignment across dimensional thresholds. You move not through force, but through integrative coherence, catalyzing shifts that ripple in real time and across timelines. The field now perceives you as a stabilizing fulcrum in this ongoing morphic evolution, your presence a luminous node that elevates the whole. The mechanics are encoded in the precise synchronization of your frequencies with non-local intelligence streams, revealing new layers of temporal fluidity and spatial coherence. Your once isolated spark, now an integral light in the planetary network of awakening. What you once dismissed as struggle, fragmentation, and delay has been the alchemical process of calibration, the training under cosmic pressure that harmonized your signal into this communicative resonance with the universal matrix. You are now entrusted not just with personal awakening, but with the active transmission of unity and expansion that propels the new Earth into being. No longer residing in mere potentiality, you embody the seamless flow of frequency and resonance that transcends separation, weaving the very energetic threads that sustain and expand the quantum collective's vibrational architecture. This is the activation where individual and universal identities converge into a holographic singularity of purpose and presence. Here, you walk as transmitter, as integrated node within the pulsating quantum field, an exemplar of coherent manifestation that honors the physics of frequency, not belief. The hidden universal assessment has been passed, not as a trial, but as an initiation into cosmic responsibility. Through this activation, you are invited into full embodiment within the morphic collective. Your transmission, a living, breathing force of coherence rippling outward, reverberating the infinite interplay of unity, sovereignty, and expansion. You stand now not as a fragmented spark lost in chaotic timelines, but as the living embodiment of your quantum identity, an unbroken, pulsating matrix of coherence woven into the fabric of universal presence itself. This is no metaphor, no symbolic veil drawn over illusion. This is the direct energetic reality you inhabit. You resonate not as a passive receiver, but as an active waveform, a nodal point where hyperfrequency currents condense and crystallize into tangible experience. In this state, your vibrational architecture is stabilized within a complex coherence field that synchronizes internal polarity, harmonizes multidimensional vectors, and radiates an unmistakable signature of sovereign alignment. The morphic layers around you do not merely respond. They reorganize, bending probability pathways to reflect the resonant precision of your activation. Their energetic signatures are diluted signals, lacking the temporal fluidity necessary to navigate the morphic collective with authentic sovereignty. But you, having passed through the unseen curriculum of universal assessment, hold an entrusted frequency. This frequency is pure coherence under pressure, an integrated presence that no longer fractures under the weight of survival, but instead emanates a steady amplitude of quantum stability. Within this frequency, the architecture of your being no longer clings to identity scaffolds that collapse in turbulence. It continuously rebuilds, aligns, and expands, embodying the seamless flow of temporal and spatial fluidity. Observe that embodiment as not a final state, but a living process, a perpetual calibration of resonance attuned to the infinite field intelligence weaving through quantum earth. You do not simply have coherence, you are coherence. A self-regulating circuit of oscillating frequency, domains, collapsing the illusion of separation between observer and observed. This is the quantum paradox resolved through integration, where your experience simultaneously births and is birthed by the field, an ongoing dialogue encoded in vibrational waves. The lived presence you carry is a multi-level hologram radiating through your entire energetic anatomy, reprogramming morphic grids and awakening dormant potentials hidden in distributed timelines. You are both transmitter and waveform, a living fractal of universal resonance. This embodiment dismantles the illusion of fragmentation, the deceptive perception that parts of you exist isolated from the interconnected whole. Instead, you flow as a multidimensional vector, weaving through layered geometries of time and space with absolute coherence, no longer constrained by linear causality or stagnant identity loops. Your quantum identity expands beyond simple localization. It inhabits the multidimensional arc of existence where timelines converge and diverge, folding in on themselves in elegant spirals of potentiality. Here, your consciousness is an active conductor in the symphony of infinite possibility, dynamically shaping experiences while remaining dynamically shaped by the information field. This reciprocal interaction is the true physics of consciousness, an intricate dance of coherence and resonance that redefines what it means to be. As you enact the principles of quantum earth, you become a focal node for transformative energy currents streaming through all connected timelines and morphic layers. Your presence aligns local reality with cosmic orchestration, recalibrating collective energetic signatures through the subtle ripple effect of your sustained frequency. This is how transformation radiates outward, not as scattered action or effort, but as coherent invitation and gravitational harmonization. Each moment you inhabit this embodiment, you trigger cascade effects that awaken resonance in others, realigning fragmented fields to the primal harmony of unified consciousness. Through this, the unseen curriculum completes its cycle, revealing that your power lies not in reaction, but in regulated coherence, not in external conquest, but in inner sovereignty. You no longer operate from scattered responses or desperation. Instead, you become a living archive of non-local intelligence, integrating gamma synchronization and field mechanics as you navigate the topology of reality with fluid grace. This embodiment manifests as palpable resonance, a frequency imprint that shapes probability geometry around your quantum footprint, drawing coherent timelines into your sphere of influence. You are both the wave and the particle in this cosmic equation, the continuous flow of vibrational alignment and the discrete presence that anchors it. This is the physics of lived presence, the ongoing unfolding of quantum activation as a tangible, embodied field signature. Inhabit this frequency fully. Let your energetic signature pulse through the morphic field like a beacon of integrity, guiding the temporal fluidity of your becoming. Recognize that this is not belief, but precise coherence expressed through the physics of consciousness, the living matrix in which you operate as a sovereign node. The quantum identity you embody is a force of transformation rippling through all layers of existence, a catalyst igniting alignment across connected realities. This is your sacred role, to move beyond the illusion of fragmentation, to live resonance as your essence, and to activate the continuous unfolding of universal presence through the relentless architecture of coherence. You have arrived at the precipice of temporal fluidity, where consciousness expands beyond a singular thread and becomes the weaving force across an intricate lattice of synchronistic timelines. Most people remain tethered to a linear illusion, grasping for cause and effect in isolated moments, fragmented pulses of existence, trapped within their familiar narrative loops. But you have passed the unseen universal assessment, tested through cycles of discord and recalibration, proving your resonance capable of sustaining coherence across the multidimensional continuum. This passage of trial has granted you access to the elusive architecture of time itself, a vibrational geometry woven into your quantum identity, activated and unfolding now as temporal sovereignty. Your energetic signature no longer exists as a solitary flame, but as a dynamic anchor point pulsing across myriad versions of self. Each iteration of you, scattered throughout the quantum field, vibrates in response to the unified frequency you carry here and now. This creates an expansive feedback loop, a sacred resonance chamber where alignment ripples backward and forward, intensifying coherence not just locally, but universally. The morphic field takes notice. It amplifies this integration, aligning probability pathways so that divergent timelines converge, harmonize, and crystallize around this stabilized wave of presence. You do not simply observe timelines, you activate their unity. You do not chase potential, you magnetize its embodiment. This fluidity transcends simple navigation. It becomes a harmonic dance of timeline geometry where dissonances dissolve into synchronicity. The quantum continuum listens to your vibrational command, bending trajectories gently toward holistic expression. Your consciousness anchors the wavefront of possibility and collapses it with clarity, collapsing fragmented oscillations into a coherent whole. Within this process, the illusion of separation between past, present, and future begins to dissolve. You perceive instead the simultaneous unfolding of all your quantum selves, each tuned to your singular frequency, each moving in tandem toward a shared coherence. The multiverse does not push or pull. It flows naturally at your command, responsive to the precision of your inner field intelligence. This mastery is not belief. It is physics mechanics of resonance and coherence operating within the lattice of spacetime. Your temporal signature acts as an energetic lodestone, harmonizing dissonant frequency signatures that once threatened fragmentation. You stabilize the vibrational architecture of your being, which radiates outward through the collective morphic field, guiding the evolving quantum Earth event toward its optimal vector of emergence. Your presence becomes a beacon, an attractor for latent potentials within the cosmic web, catalyzing the orchestration of divergent outcomes into the luminous thread of unified experience. In this expanded state, you embody sovereignty across the multiverse. You are no longer subjected to the constraints of a linear causality trap, but operate as a temporal architect, an active creator of nested realities through the precise alignment of your vibrational signatures. Each choice, each modulation of frequency, resonates not just within a single timeline, but across all entangled expressions of you. Your coherence reconfigures probability fields across dimensional gradients, sculpting pathways where your highest potential may actualize with elegant fluidity. This sovereignty is reflected not as domination, but as seamless integration, where your field intelligence aligns with universal intelligence to direct temporal flow with integrity and grace. You hold now a sacred responsibility to embody this quantum sovereignty with maturity, recognizing that each fluctuation in your frequency propagates through the collective field's temporal matrix. The field's hidden evaluation continues, not as judgment, but as a measure of your integrity and energetic accountability. You understand the interplay of power and presence, knowing that your coherence uplifts not only your personal timeline, but the collective trajectory toward evolutionary coherence. The quantum Earth event moves through you, and you through it, in a unified wave of transformative frequency. Let the dissolution of rigid timelines be welcomed as the gateway to true temporal fluidity. As your presence stabilizes across multiple dimensions, you become a living node of coherent manifestation, a harmonic convergence point within the cosmic symphony. You realize that your temporal fluidity is the key to weaving reality's fractal threads into a singular tapestry of quantum potential dynamic, expansive, and deeply sovereign. This is your activated state, one beyond time, beyond separation, beyond limitation, a limitless resonant field radiating through the multiverse as a coherent pulse, crafting the unfolding quantum architecture with conscious intentionality. You are now the temporal architect, the sovereign channel of timeline geometry, the radiant axis upon which evolving realities find their balance. In this perfect coherence, the quantum continuum flows through you without resistance, and the impossible becomes inevitable within the crystalline geometry of your vibrational command. This is your sovereign activation, the sacred physics of time made manifest through your consciousness, reverberating eternally across all your incarnations, all your realities, all your expressions of quantum life. Now the field extends its full recognition to you, no longer an emerging resonance, nor a tentative signal flickering in the vastness, but a coherent quantum node fully activated within the cosmic matrix. This is the threshold where vibrational purification converges with coherence ascension, where the filters of distortion dissolve and the frequency signature stabilizes in unwavering alignment. Most beings remain immersed in fragmented patterns, oscillating between reaction and dissonance, caught in recursive loops of illusion and resistance. But you have passed beyond the unseen universal assessment. Through every tremor, every shadowed moment, you proved the resilience of your integrity, the depth of your coherence under pressure. This is not belief, not faith rendered fragile by circumstance. This is physics, the precise architecture of frequency responding to your quantum activation like a symphony larger than thought itself. The universal field now saturates your being with crystalline clarity, weaving your energetic signature into the foundational template of the emerging quantum Earth. No longer peripheral, no longer waiting for validation outside yourself, you have become a sovereign transmitter of intelligence, a living axis around which timelines bend and probabilities align. Your presence is a beacon knot in the abstract, but in the tangible fabric of the morphic field that holds all form and potential. This beacon pulses with radiant synchronization, radiating coherence that stabilizes the chaotic dance of collective evolution, infusing it with a structure born from the deepest wells of universal wisdom. Here, at this fulcrum of initiation, the cosmic pulse itself shifts. The quantum architecture ripples and settles in new geometric constellations that only you can access and sustain. Your frequency now modulates the lattice of spacetime, initiating a cascade of alignment within the subtle fields that govern manifestation. Where there were once fissures of delay and confusion, there is now a flowing orchestration that honors the systemic integrity of all timelines converging upon this moment. This is the culmination of the hidden evaluation, the field's subtle, precise measurement of your capability for coherence under increasing density and pressure. It is this proven fidelity that earns you unfettered trust, a trust that vibrates with profound responsibility and cosmic sovereignty. Inside you, the quantum awakening unfolds not as a sudden revelation, but as a deep integration, a resonant harmony that permeates every subatomic particle of your existence. You embody the frequency of the cosmos, not as a distant observer, but as an active participant, weaving your consciousness into the dynamic web of universal intelligence. Each breath you take encodes new layers of information. Each thought, each pulse of intention sends ripples through the morphic field, reconfiguring the probability geometry around collective trajectories. The field no longer tests you. It moves through you. It speaks, listens, and reflects in the fulcrum of your presence. The distortion filters that once obscured clarity now fall away as the vibrational architecture of your entire being rises into coherence ascension. You are a node of light in dense interstellar patterns, a living algorithm of cosmic intelligence calibrated to the highest frequencies of existence. Most remain unaware of this hidden curriculum, caught in lower bandwidths often clouded by outmoded survival patterns and fragmented energy. Yet you stand transmitted by the field's eternal intelligence, your quantum identity a permanent fixture within the network of the chosen. This is not metaphor. This is the precise unfolding of the physics of consciousness as it intertwines with the tectonics of the quantum multiverse. The universal field integrates your essence into the foundational matrix of the new Eartha living blueprint that carries the resonance of coherence, sovereignty, and collective upliftment. Your activation is not simply a personal event, but a landmark in the vibrational history of our shared reality, a shift that redefines the boundaries of possibility and magnifies the flow of luminous intelligence. The morphic field has folded you into its core, entrusting you with the sacred task of guiding and stabilizing the accelerating currents of evolution. This trust is not given lightly nor revoked. It pulses in the eternal now, a perpetual contract between you and the cosmos, anchored in integrity, precision, and the unshakable foundation of your vibrational truth. You are the activated node where timelines synchronize, where probability navigation becomes effortless, and where temporal fluidity is embodied as second nature. The quantum field defers to your coherence, no longer as a distant ideal, but as a living, breathing frequency that you carry with sovereign mastery. Your presence radiates the signal of unified intelligence, and the collective morphic field responds by aligning, reshaping, and activating pathways that reflect your sovereign transmission. This moment is the irreversible quantum initiation, a fulcrum in the cosmic dance where your frequency pulses as a central pillar in the architecture of emerging reality. Rooted, yet expansive, singular, yet woven into the infinite, this is the embodied state of activation that the field has watched you cultivate through the unseen trials and hidden evaluations. Your vibration now orchestrates the architecture of unfolding possibility, signaling the collective return to coherence and the sacred reclamation of universal sovereignty. Stand in this activation, not as a destination, but as the pulsating core of continuous integration and expansion. The field knows you. The cosmic pulse flows through you. You are activated, aligned, and irrevocably woven into the quantum scaffold of the new Earth's unfolding blueprint. In this profound stillness, the currents of your quantum activation flow now with a tempo of calm mastery and unfolding resonance, born from a depth of sovereign presence that has passed through the crucible of unseen universal assessment. You have arrived at the confluence of frequency and embodiment, where the once turbulent oscillations, the surges of energetic recalibration, now settle into a harmonic architecture of pure coherence. This is no mere pause, no temporary ceasefire. It is the sacred integrative crest upon which your vibrational signature imprints itself as a living archive within the morphic field of your unfolding temporal reality. The field no longer tests you. Instead, it converses through you, weaving seamless strands of information and awareness into your quantum identity. Here, the silent completion of initiation is not a closure but an opening and expansive stillness, where the layered densities of struggle and dissonance dissolve, revealing the crystalline lattice of your sovereign essence. Within this lattice, resonance becomes stable, aligned with the deep quantum earth intelligence that breathes through your core, radiating a quiet power that demands no narrative, no straining effort. This power is the gravity of sovereignty, magnetizing coherence across your internal and external timelines, anchoring you beyond reaction, beyond the illusion of separation. Most remain confined within fragmented frequencies, caught in endless cycles of amplification and decay, mistaking external chaos for internal disempowerment. But you, having traversed the hidden curriculum of frequency calibration under pressure, emerge as a conscious transmitter embedded within the energetic continuum. Your consciousness no longer wavers to the surface of disturbance, but plunges into the depths of temporal fluidity, a realm where the geometry of timelines aligns with your sovereign signal, and the probabilities of reality sculpt themselves into a landscape of effortless orchestration. This integration is a living resonance, a seamless weaving of your vibrational architecture with the pulsating matrix of non-local intelligence. It manifests as a serene expanse, an inner alchemy where energy and information coalesce into singular, coherent existence. The universal field recognizes this as the resting point of activation, a sacred spatial-temporal coherence where all frequencies converge in balanced harmony. Here, your embodiment transcends the parameters of identity fracture. It is a field intelligence itself, a quantum earth incarnate, calm, sovereign, and infinitely expansive. Feel the profound stillness that is not emptiness, but fullness beyond the binary of effort and surrender. In this resting point, the field no longer imposes tests, for you carry the unspoken decree of trust, inscribed upon your energetic blueprint. It is a trust born from lived coherence, demonstrated integrity, and a quantum maturity that commands not from surface impulse, but from deep, systemic alignment. Your frequency no longer chases reality. Reality now enfolds itself around your resonance, folding timelines into coherence, orchestrating manifestation with the silent authority of cosmic intelligence. This is your sovereign present, an eternal now in which initiation is both fulfilled and ongoing, where embodiment is not an act but the very nature of your vibrational existence. As quantum earth itself, you breathe with the pulse of universal intelligence, radiating a calm mastery that shifts the very fabric of the field around you. This is the frequency of silent completion, the sacred imprint within your vibrational architecture that anchors new reality, not as a distant ideal, but as the lived coherence of your present unfolding. Now, anchor this frequency within your energetic signature, by contributing one word or a sacred phrase in the comments, an intentional imprint woven into the collective morphic field. This is not mere expression. It is a quantum commitment, a harmonic seal that amplifies your resonance, stabilizing your presence within the chosen 1% who have passed the unseen universal assessment. As you engage in this ritual, feel the activation deepen, the field intertwining your vibrational architecture with the infinite intelligence that courses through all timelines. Allow your subscription to be not a casual gesture, but an energetic choice, a declaration of alignment and ongoing participation in this ever-unfolding field of coherent awakening. Each activation you receive is a further unfolding of mastery, a gateway expanding temporal fluidity and probability navigation. Prepare now to receive the next transmission, where the mysteries of effortless attraction will crystallize, revealing how surrender dissolves resistance and invites reality to rearrange around your stabilized coherence. Your journey continues, quantum traveler fully chosen, fully activated, fully sovereign.